You're an HR manager who's working hard, you're dependable, you know your stuff, and yet you're still not seen as a strategic HR leader that you want to be. Maybe you even start to wonder, what is it going to take for me to start being taken seriously around here? Trust me, you are not alone. Most HR managers are promoted for doing the work well, but no one told them how to work strategically. And no one told them the language of what being strategic even means. You might be being challenged by your leader right now to be more strategic, to bring new ideas, but they don't even know what that means. They can't give you any direction, and you don't know how to put two and two together because they're not giving it to you. So, this video, I'm going to talk about all the ways that you want to think about elevating your HR career, elevating your role right now so that you have the language around what it means to be strategic. If you've not subscribed to the channel just yet, I invite you to hit the subscribe button, turn notifications to not miss any videos I drop about ways to elevate your HR career on purpose and with purpose. This is what I do here on this channel. If you are subscribed, you know the drill. Go ahead and get your notebook, get something to write with, take some notes. This is the video that you do not want to miss. You want to make sure you are gathering everything that we're talking about in this video to put your own career plans together. Before we jump in, I want to ask you down in the comments, what's one biggest challenge that you have right now that makes you feel questionable about your ability to be more strategic? Is it something that is being said, something that's not being said, not being done? Drop it in the comments down below. Hey there, I'm Brittany Graddick, HR Leadership Coach and Chief Administrative Officer by day. And on this channel, I help HR leaders to grow thriving careers in HR. In my own career, in 17 years, I've worked from being an intern to being a department of one to leading multiple departments, now working at the executive level. And in my work with other HR professionals day to day, I've seen firsthand the difference between HR managers who feel stuck and HR managers who really have a plan around their work that helps them to elevate their work on purpose. Through my program, the HR Leadership Accelerator, I help HR leaders, HR managers, and directors specifically lead their departments, lead their roles, lead themselves well so that they can find ways to elevate their own impact and elevate their lives and livelihood. So if you are ever feeling overwhelmed, if you ever feel overworked and undervalued, this is the video for you and you are in the right place. Before you make any asks to your manager, before you put any changes in your department, before all of that, you must lead yourself first. You can't lead others effectively and you can't lead other things effectively until first you've mastered yourself. You've known yourself so well that nothing else can shake you. In my work with my clients, that's the very first module in our curriculum because you've got to know yourself. If I approach you with a challenge or an ask or an assignment and you don't know your values and you don't know how you stack up against maybe others in the company and you don't know what others think about you, you have no foundation. So there's got to be ways that you know how to pull back into yourself, pour back into yourself as well to understand yourself so well. So you've got to align your work with your values, and that takes intention. So often we go into the workday and we just take every day as it comes. And that's why at the end of the week, you feel burnout. At the end of the month, you feel confused. At the end of the year, you feel overwhelmed and confused about what exactly did you get done that year. So you've got to be very intentional with your time, especially as an HR manager, an HR professional in general. If you've got desires to lead and grow your career in your company or another organization, you can't do that on accident. It's not going to happen on accident. There are many things that must be in place. In this video, I'm going to walk you through everything, all the big buckets that I walk my clients through so you know how to put your own career plan together. When it comes to leading yourself first, you need to understand your mindset, learn your habits, learn your behaviors that guide the way you do things, guide the reason why you think about certain things the way that you do. The best leaders that I know understand themselves so well that nothing really moves them in a way that might move other people. There are certain people who every little incident, everything is a fight, everything is a struggle, everything is so tense. But when you know yourself, you can pick your battles. When you know yourself, you can find ways to, okay, well, decide, is this the right time to have this conversation? Or is there a better opportunity for me to use this ask in another capacity? So again, knowing yourself is critical because if you don't, you're going to have a very difficult time of navigating certain situations, even beyond you get to your department, beyond getting to the relationships we're going to talk about later on in this video. You got to know yourself well to know the value that you bring to the company and what makes you unique beyond your job title. When I'm talking to my clients and I'm talking to people one-on-one, I often ask, what does success look like for you right now? And it's surprising to me how many people don't know the answer to that beyond, I want this title or I want this salary. Those are more tangible things. I can see you write those things down and draw a line in the sand. But outside of that, what does success look like for you? Or why is that your success? people don't understand that because they're not clear on their values, they're not clear on the things that guide their decision making, and they're not clear on who they are and the value that they bring. So doing this work is so important because it helps you to set the foundation for your career growth and give you a foundation to build off of. The goal here is to get clear on your values, get clear on the things that make you unique and the things that you bring to the table. For me, I'm very organized. I'm very self-disciplined. I'm very self-motivated. I'm not waiting for a handout. I'm not waiting for someone to give me direction even. I'm going to tell my leader the things that I want to do, the ideas that I have, the suggestions that I have, and then it's up for that person to say yes or no. But I'm not waiting for direction. And I think that me not waiting for direction has been a very big catalyst for me to grow the way that I have. But I wasn't born with that. I had to build myself and to learn that that was a value that I need to bring into my working life, my professional life. So the same is true for you. What are your values? What are the things that you hold dear? What are the things that you want to stand out against your peers with? There's so many things you could choose from your confidence, from the way you show up in meetings, from your presentation skills, from your ability to resolve conflict. There's so many things, and I want to give you a long list because I don't want you to feel limited to what I'm saying here. But decide for you what makes you unique beyond your job title, beyond the years of service and things like that. If you're going to lead yourself in your career, if you're going to know yourself so well, you've got to get to the heart of who you are before we're talking about anything else. Once you have that foundation about who you are, the value that you bring to the company, now this is where the fun begins. The next thing you need to do is elevate your work. A successful HR manager doesn't just do things, doesn't just execute things, they elevate things. You move from being a task manager to more of a strategist by connecting HR activities to the business outcomes. Now, how do you do that? So I have a habit of thinking about my thinking. You can call it ruminating, you can call it overthinking, but I have a habit of thinking about my thinking. And in that, I've come up with a proficiency pyramid for HR professionals. So my proficiency pyramid is a pyramid. It's a triangle. It's got 4 layers. The bottom of that layer is task focused work or administrative focused work, where you're focusing more on compliance. You're focused on getting things done. You're focused on just the day-to-day operations of your department. That work is necessary. That work is foundational, but you cannot stop there. And I believe that a lot of HR leaders who have desires to do more, they get stuck there because they're really not sure what else is there to do. You're doing everything from A to Z, and like they want you to be more strategic, but what does that mean? And they can give you the language for it. So my way of thinking about how can you be more elevating your thinking, how can you be more strategic in your approach, think of the pyramid. So you've got the task-based work at the bottom. On top of that work, you've got the processes of your work. So it's one thing to have interviews, but what is your process for doing interviews? Are you consistent with the way you do interviews? Is there a certain guide that you made for yourself? Is there a certain format of the interviews that you prefer? Is the timeline is the same? Are you using certain templates for your communications? Processes around your work, that systems thinking is really, really important because especially if you're a department of one or you're leading a team for the first time or you're leading a team for the 10 years, if you don't have a process around the work that you're doing, it's going to feel like a rat race. It's going to feel like the same thing over and over again. And so this is why it's so important to get beyond the task-based work and focus on the processes of your work, because that's when you get that repetitiveness. That's when you can create things that you can really control, things that you can really predict as well. On top of the processes, you've then got the data that you can start to look at. So we're talking about recruiting. So you're going beyond just every interview as a standalone incident. You're having a process around your recruiting. Maybe you're tracking your recruiting by job posting to track the successes of those things. And so the data around that, you're tracking your time to fill. You're tracking your job acceptance rate. You're tracking your retention, your 90-day retention, your 1-year retention. There's so many things you can track. It all makes sense to look at what matters most to your company right now. What issues are you seeing? What area are you trying to complete? What are the things that you really want to shift or improve in your company based on what you need right now? And what you need right now might be different than what you needed 6 months ago and what you're going to need 6 months later. But you've got to keep a finger on the pulse of where your company's going to compare yourself against yourself and compare yourself against the trends and compare yourself against the industry and all that as well. Data focused work is so important because it helps you to really give yourself a measurement, to tell yourself and tell your leaders and your peers how well are you doing, or how well is there opportunity for you to have. At the top of the work, the most strategic work is business aligned work. So you're not just recruiting to fill a hole and then that's it. And this, I'm just using recruiting as the example because that's what we're doing right now. But you're recruiting and it fits into the bigger picture of the company's goals. Maybe there's a company goal to, hit a certain metric or hit a certain number, And you can't do that if you don't have the people in place. So again, there are so many ways to be strategic. There are so many ways to think about your thinking. But in every competency of your work, there should be a focus on your pyramid to see where are you working. And you don't have to work in every single area of the pyramid every single day, but you need to know what it looks like to work in those different levels for every competency, and understand how skilled are you in those areas. This is how you know what you need to grow in. This is how you know what you need to develop your skills in, so that every new webinar, every new training opportunity is not just a shiny object and you're wondering how to fit it in. You know where to fit in because you know what your developmental needs are. So again, this is the work that I do with my clients. As you can see, I get really, really fired up about it because I think this is so important. No one taught me this. I had to learn this by trial and error. And so I'm helping you to really skip ahead, skip the line, so to speak. So if you're finding this valuable, hit that like button and let me know. Drop a comment down below. Tell me what is resonating most with you so far. Or is it so far we talked about leading yourself well, knowing yourself well. We talked about elevating your work in a way that's going to give you language around how are you working and what level are you working. Drop it down below. I'm really, really curious to know. As you shift your thinking from what is HR doing to what is HR delivering, and you learn how to communicate that powerfully to your leaders, that's when that strategic shift really, really happens. The next component that you need to be a successful HR manager, you must activate your network. No leader grows alone. And I would argue that your success in HR manager depends on your ability to grow relationships within your company and outside of your company. Ironically, when I was a department of one in HR, I think that the time I grew the most because it forced me to learn more things, to seek out resources, to seek out people in my industry, seek out people in my SHRM chapter locally, just where in my geographic area, so that I could have a network of comrades, a network of peers to really pour into and get things out of as well. So your ability to build relationships, to sustain relationships is so, so critical. Do you have to be an extrovert? Absolutely not. I'm not an extrovert. I know how to turn it on and turn it off, but I'm not an extroverted personality. I know what to do, how to have conversations, how to make conversations, how to connect with people, but it's not my preference. I love to just sit alone and just be home alone and just get into a good book or read my Bible or journal or play games on my phone. I love alone time. So don't think that, well, I'm not an extroverted personality, so I can't build relationships. Don't fight for your limitations. I think so often we tell ourselves all the reasons why we can't do the things that we know we need to do, but don't fight for those. Give yourself space to grow. Give yourself space to really truly be the person that you want to be. If there were no barriers, what would you do? If you were extroverted, what would you do? Ask yourself these questions to help yourself to get over these hurdles that we sometimes build for ourselves. Inside your organization, your first relationship that you want to prioritize should be your direct manager. You need to understand how do they define success? What are their career aspirations? Sometimes we think that just because they're the CEO that they have peaked, but they might have aspirations outside of that. Do you know what those are? Are there ways you can help support this person, not in their next career goal, but help them find success in their current role? What are things that keep this person up at night? What are things that makes this person worried about the future of the organization? How can you be a partner to this person, a strategic partner to help them meet their goals too? That's an unspoken cheat code to help you to build relationships in a very intentional way. It's not tricky. It's not sleazy. It's not manipulative. It's strategic because you're finding ways to help other people be successful because that's what leaders do. Additionally, across your organization, you need to not have just only an HR mindset where you're thinking about, okay, how can I just make my department run more effectively? No, you need to also think about how can I collaborate with another department to help them be successful. Maybe there's a partnership or a project that we're both working on that we can collaborate on, and maybe take the senior leaders out of it for a while and then bring them back in and show them what we did. There's so many things to think about, but you've got to build relationships across your organization to not be only in an HR silo. Your ability to build relationships really helps you build your visibility. Think about it this way. If no one knows the work that you're doing, if no one knows the value of the work that you're doing and how successful you are, then it's all for nothing. No one knows about it, so it won't be rewarded. So visibility is so, so key. And this is why relationships are so important. You've got to find ways to build these relationships in a very intentional way. And then also in the process, as you're putting out new initiative or you're seeking out ways to collaborate with people, you're not seeking approval, you're seeking collaboration. In your company, I challenge you, be known as a thought leader and not a gatekeeper. Once you've got all the pieces together, you're leading yourself well, you're elevating your work, you're activating your network, it doesn't end there. You've got to keep working the plan. So this is where you drive your momentum. Once you've built the visibility and those relationships, the key here is consistency. You've got to put plans around your work to remind you to go and strengthen this relationship and how to strengthen this relationship. Put plans together to remind you of what to improve in your department and why you want to improve it and what opportunities you have to do the next phase of whatever program you're working through. Or what are some things you can do to continue to pour back into yourself for self development and professional development as well. You've got to put plans around your work because if it's not written down, it likely won't happen. I am the queen of checklists and spreadsheets because I believe if it's not written down for me, if it's not on my calendar, it likely won't happen. And so I believe that it could be helpful for other people too to write things down. I'm all about writing the vision, making it plain, being very intentional with what you plan to do. Because again, you have goals, you've got dreams, you've got desires, but wouldn't you rather get somewhere on purpose? Or wouldn't you rather get to the next step knowing that you shot for it, knowing that it wasn't a happy coincidence? Because when you do that, then when you make it there, you shouldn't have the imposter syndrome because you got there on purpose. As you're putting your plan together, this is also where you want to make sure you're tracking your wins, tracking your successes, so that when you have your evaluations, when you're talking with your leaders, you can share with them how successful you've been, the metrics around the work that you're doing, the impact of the work that you're doing as well, so that it can be really understood around the company as well, going back to visibility. The key point here, don't wait for recognition. Create your own narratives around the work that you're doing and share it powerfully. Becoming a successful HR manager is not about doing more. It's about shifting the way you think about your work and how you approach it. Once you start leading yourself well, once you start elevating your work, once you start activating your network, once you start driving your momentum, this is when executives start to listen and really pay attention. The goal here is to always connect your impact to business outcomes. And when you're ready to stop being overlooked and overworked and start being a strategic, confident HR manager, this is the work that I do inside of my program, the HR Leadership Accelerator. Inside of the program, I help you go from just doing the work to truly owning your work and owning your outcomes using frameworks that I've created that have shifted my entire career and the careers of my clients as well. If you're ready to build your impact, your influence, and your income, comment down below with the words HR career success, and I'll send you a link to book a one-on-one call with me. We can book some time to talk about your career right now. What are your goals? And also whether working together could be right for you right now. Even when you're taking seriously, you want to make sure you're ready for HR today and HR of the future. Watch the video next where I talk about that a little deeply, and I'll see you there.